Welcome back to the third episode of The Making of The Wake of Poseidon. Last week, I showed you the process I used to make some of the characters in the game, but I didn't show you the process of actually putting them in engine. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a task you want to do by hand. You could have thousands upon thousands of files with individual hand-placed frames in every single one of them. And if you decide suddenly later, well, I need to add a new animation to every character in the game, you're going to be in for one hell of a time. Now, my favorite saying is, good tools make good developers. But that's enough about me, now on to me. I once wrote a tool for automatically importing animations from Ep3, the tool I use to make my characters, but it turns out that's a huge pain in the ass to maintain over time, so I ended up looking for someone else's hard work to benefit from. Fortunately for everyone in the entire world, I found such a tool, a bit of software by the name of Animation Importer, which worked exactly with the software I was using to create my sprites. By the way, if you've ever wondered why I'm using Ep3 and not something like, say, Adobe Illustrator, this is a large reason why. Trying to get all that crap into Engine is a huge pain in the butt, like I said, and automating it is key to success. Also, I really hate Adobe products. Seriously, have you ever tried to use any of the automation tools in Adobe software? It just makes me want to scream. Anyway, back to what I was saying, once I got all these animations imported into the game, it was relatively easy to test it. Since I used the same root animator for every character in the game, all I had to do was pop into the player's model, swap out the animations, and test it out. Now that I had some characters that were able to walk around and do all kinds of, well, video gamey things, it's time to work a little bit on level design. So far up to this point, I've been using a technique known as white boxing, which is basically just a way of saying nothing at all. And by nothing at all, I mean something completely useful. Typically, the process of making a level consists of sketching it out on paper, a step I completely skipped. White boxing it, and then finally adding in the later details. Now, this is another one of those cases where good tools make good developers. Quite a while ago, I obtained a piece of software, an add-on for Unity, known as ProBuilder. Using this particular add-on for Unity, it allowed me to mimic the brush modeling style of development used in games like Half-Life in the Hammer editor. And I gotta tell you, if that's good enough for Valve, it's good enough for me. So the process of level design basically breaks down into two steps. The first one is known as white boxing. This is where I lay out the basic shapes for the play area. With this, I can test things like enemy encounters, jumping spaces, and all kinds of interesting ideas without having to go into extreme details and finding out, hey, none of this works and I just wasted a bunch of time. Once the basic layout and level flow are more or less working the way I want them, it's time to move on to the painstaking, but ultimately rather rewarding part, filling out all those fluttery little details that make the game unique and what it is. This is the part where I get to play with things like particle effects, and more particle effects, and, more particle effects. Really, that's just sort of my go-to plan. Now, for some of the larger shapes, I can get away with using the brush-based technique, but there's a lot of times when I want to have some consistency, and I want to have a library of props that I can just drag and drop as I see fit. We're going to be sticking to the basic shapes here, like cubes, tubes, and, pubes. Now, despite my fondness for ancient Greek architecture and historical accuracy, sometimes you just have to take a little bit of artistic license. For example, those neon signs would never appear in the Parthenon. Oh, also those laser guns, they're probably not very accurate. Oh, and the arch doesn't exist, obviously. Now, despite what originally seemed like a rather limited palette of Bronze Age architecture, I found one particular technique more or less solved every problem I had. Oh, that marble block doesn't look interesting. Let's just put something glowy on it. Oh, that obsidian floor doesn't look good at all. Let's just make it glow a little bit. Oh, that pillar is just not working until it glows. Did I mention earlier I also like to use a lot of particle effects? Particle effects. Well, as the state of things stand right now, I'm more or less just throwing lots of stuff into other stuff to hopefully come up with more stuff. And that's just my way of saying I don't have anything else useful to say for this video, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. Until next time... I don't know what to say there. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Funny sound effect or something. Ah!